Hi, I'm Jeffrey James. In my last video I showed you how to install the add-on RoguePowerBars for the game World of Warcraft. In this video I'm going to show you how to use the add-on. Now in this game there are abilities called buffs and debuffs. Buffs are abilities that enhance your character and make them stronger in numerous ways. Debuffs are abilities that weaken your enemy or deal damage to them over time. In the top right corner of the screen is usually where your buffs are displayed. And on your enemy nameplate that you have targeted is where your debuffs are usually displayed. In the case, I have a training dummy targeted and his unit frame is right here. Now if I go and attack that training dummy, you'll see that a lot of buffs have appeared. Some of them are random and some of them are player controlled. The player controlled ones usually you want to keep up all the time, but you don't want to refresh it too early to where you're wasting resources when you don't need to. But in a fight with anything other than a training dummy, your vision is usually going to be focused on the middle of the screen, and it could be a pain or hard to keep track of the middle of the screen with your character, as well as looking up to the top screen back and forth constantly to know when you have to refresh your buffs. RoguePowerBars makes this easier to keep track of your buffs and debuffs. Now when you enter the game, I disabled them, but you will have the buffs and debuffs frames enabled down here. As you can see, my buff is being kept track of down here. When I attack the enemy, debuffs are over here. But as you can see with the way I have my user interface set up, they kind of run into my unit frames. And keeping track of 2 bars is still kind of annoying. And it's keeping track of everything, like leeching poison and deadly poison right here are things I don't really need to keep track of. As long as I keep attacking my enemy, they'll stay on the opponent. So let's get started. The first thing we'll want to do is, since we want to make 1 bar, we'll go ahead and disable the buffs and debuffs by going into RoguePowerBars and going to bar sets. From there, we'll create a new bar set, which I will call Rogue, since that's the class I'm playing. Now that we have that enabled, we can click on the bar and drag it to where we want it. In this case, I'll put it right about here in between my 2 unit frames. Now that it's in place, we could go ahead and lock it so that we don't actually accidentally move it while playing. Now to add some buffs and debuffs. The top 3 buffs and debuffs that I want as a rogue are Envenom, Slice and Dice, and Rupture. So if we go under the buff tab, I'll go ahead and look for Envenom, and then I will go to the bar set and add it to the rogue bar set. And then since Slice and Dice is a buff as well, I'll find Slice and Dice and add it to the rogue. Now Rupture is a debuff, so I will go under the debuff tab, find Rupture, and add it to the rogue bar set. Now when I attack the target dummy, you can see that all 3 abilities are keeping track of right here. But the bar is growing up, and I don't really want that because it'll grow into my character. So let's go ahead and enter RoguePowerBars again by doing /RPB, go to the bar set, and grow direction will change to down. Now from here you can also change the scale, the alpha, and the width of the bar, but we'll go ahead and keep it as is for now. Now when I go and attack the training dummy, you can see that the bar is growing down instead of up. But let's say Envenom is the most important ability to keep track of, but it's not appearing at the top. And I want it to appear at the top so it's the easiest one to see. So we'll go ahead and enter the add-on again, doing /RPB, and we'll go to buffs since that's where Envenom is located. Find Envenom, and we'll go to priority, and since that's the most important ability, we'll set it to 10. Now Rupture is more important than Slice and Dice, but not as important as Envenom, so we'll set it to our priority of 9. And then finally Slice and Dice, we'll set it to a priority of 8. Now when I attack the training dummy, you can see that when the abilities are all up together, they will prioritize, with top priority being at the top and lowest priority being at the bottom. Now I'll be able to keep track of those most important abilities without any effort at all, since they're right below my character. Now, of course, you can add more than just 3 abilities, and I would as well. Let's take the debuff Vendetta and add it to the Rogue Power Bar. Vendetta icon is usually kind of purplish, but for some reason it's a light yellow on here. So I want to change the color. I'll go ahead and click on the square color, and I'll go ahead and change it to a more purplish color. You do that by taking a circle on the color pie and just kind of finding the color that you want. And then the bar here, you can adjust the brightness. Once that's done, you click OK. And you can do this for any ability. Some abilities have similar or the same exact color, which may be confusing when you're just glancing at your bars. If that's the case, you want to keep track of them easier without having to read the actual writing here. So you could go ahead and change the color so you can differentiate between the two a lot easier. Now you can see when I use Vendetta, it's now on the bar, and it's a nice dark purple instead of that bright yellow color, which could confuse us with the Slice and Dice ability. That about concludes it for the Rogue. But before I go, the nice thing about this add-on is while it was created for the Rogue class, any class can use this. Take my Druid Alt for example. If I were to use this on him, I would go to bar sets, and I would create a Druid bar set, easier to keep track of just by calling it that name. I would add it, and I would enable it. And the unfortunate thing is, since it was made for rogues, these are all rogue abilities, so you'll have to type in and add the abilities for the other class. In this case, Savage Roar is an ability for druids that they want to keep track of, so you would go ahead and add Savage Roar, and then you would find it on here. You may have to change the color, since most of them will probably be set to a default gray, but you could change it to your liking and adjust it just how I did as the Rogue. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my video. I hope you found it helpful, and thank you for watching.